All right. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are enjoying your day. So, preseason football is here for the Ravens. We are set to play our first preseason game this Saturday against the New Orleans Saints. It should be an interesting one. I'm excited. I'm glad to see some Ravens football again, and this should be a good one. Now, normally when it comes to the preseason, we don't really put a lot of attention on it. There's not a lot of excitement that goes towards it for the most part because, it's not the regular season. You're not really going to be seeing the star players out there. Your starters aren't going to be out there that much. It's basically going to be a bunch of rookies and second and third string players fighting for a roster spot. Hey, at the end of the day, that is what the preseason is about. The preseason gives you an opportunity to see what you have with these second and third stringers that are fighting for a roster spot. That gives them an opportunity to display their talents and help pitch a case as to why they should be on the roster. And at the same time, it's also for the rookies to showcase their talents while at the same time getting some experience at the NFL level. So it's beneficial for the rookies and for the second and third stringers fighting for a roster spot. So the preseason does have a purpose, but a lot of times we don't really care to watch it because it's like no one wants to sit here and watch rookies and second and third stringers that aren't really going to do much out there go out and compete. Though with the Ravens preseason games, it's usually interesting because we tend to dominate. I don't remember the last time the Ravens have lost a preseason game. What are we, like 16-0 right now, 20-0? I don't know. We haven't lost a preseason game in a long time. So yeah, the preseason games for the Ravens are always fun. But this time it might be a little bit more interesting than we're used to seeing. And that's because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is the key in all of this. Obviously, we all know he's missed a lot of time. He was on protocol for 10 days, so he missed about 7 to 8 practices. That's a lot of time for your starting quarterback to miss in training camp. A lot of times he could be working with his receivers. But most importantly, a lot of times to get used to the system and the scheme they're trying to get everybody on the same page with. Obviously, he knows the system and the scheme, but the level in which they're running it takes time, which is why you got to be there at that practice. So, we know Lamar has missed 7 to 8 practices, but he did practice on Saturday. Saturday was his first official practice of this NFL training camp. And then he also practiced again today. He'll be back out there tomorrow practicing. So he's got 2 practices in. And from what I've seen and what I've heard so far from Lamar's practices, he's been solid. He's been sharp, He's better than what they expected him to look like coming off the protocol. So, he's been relatively sharp. He hasn't taken a bunch of deep shots, but when he's taken some deep shots, it's been relatively accurate. It's been sharp. He's been making plays. He's being Lamar, He's been great, which is a positive because so far, ever since the pads came on, the quarterback room has been struggling because the defense has been dominating. But Lamar himself has been playing. He's been doing well. He's been throwing the ball well. And we're seeing in some of the videos, man, some of the passes Lamar has been making so far. Just beautiful. It's just, one, I've never cared about the spirals. I care about accuracy and, precision and as well as consistency, as well as ball placement. Those are more my focus when it comes to that. I don't care about the presentation of the ball. I care if it's getting to the receiver's hands, which it always does for Lamar. But so far, from what we've seen in some of these highlights, and of course they're only highlights, so you can take it with a grain of salt, but from what we've seen, he's been throwing spirals. But more than that, there is velocity on his passes now. They're coming at these receivers a lot faster. The ball's getting out of his hands faster. His mechanics have improved. He's keeping his whole base wide. So he's improved on his mechanics. He's improved on his standing. His footwork is better. And most importantly, he's driving the ball, which is allowing the ball to come at these receivers with more velocity. And which is also allowing it to be, stay more as a spiral and is keeping it tighter. So that's a good thing. I've seen a lot from Lamar Jackson so far as to what he's shown us. From the little I've seen so far in terms of his mechanics and footwork, it's definitely improved. So that's a positive. But yeah, we've only seen a little of Lamar so far. We'll see what happens as practice continues to go on. But that's where the conversation of the preseason comes in. Lamar's only had 2 practices, but he's still behind, and he's working his way through and working his way to catch up to where everyone else is. You don't really have that much time because there's only 3 preseason games this season, so Lamar has a lot of catching up to do. Well, with that being the case, it's very possible because Lamar has a lot to catch up on, they may actually play him a lot more in the preseason than they usually do because, Lamar doesn't really play in the preseason that much. You don't expect him to be out there playing a lot of preseason game or playing out there for a majority of the time. No, so he's not going to be out there playing that much usually. But this time, it might be a different case. He's behind and they need him to catch up because they're going at a fast rate. So the preseason games will give them an opportunity to help him catch up. What better way for Lamar to catch up than to get actual game time experience? Live game time experience can do a lot more than practice, man, because it can definitely help with the execution and some things you need to work on. When you have live game film, so many things they can look at that point and break it down, and they can take those and like, this is what we need to improve on, this is what you need to work on, this is where we need you to be, Lamar, you're right here, we need you to be right here, things like that. So there's so much they can do with actual live game footage. So throwing Lamar into the preseason this year could definitely be beneficial to help him catch up. And I think that's what the Ravens are going to do. You know, I'm not sure. Who knows? You know, maybe I could be wrong about this. Maybe they're going to be like, we don't want to play Lamar in the preseason. Or maybe Lamar catches up so fast that they feel there's no need to play him in the preseason that much besides a dress rehearsal game. Then again, I don't even know if there's going to be a dress rehearsal game this year. Since there's 3 games now as opposed to 4, would that mean the dress rehearsal game is now the 2nd game? Or would you still keep it to be the 3rd game? I have no clue how that works. But usually on a normal preseason, season, you just don't really throw out your starters that much. However, with this case, we may see Lamar and the starters out there a bit more than we're used to, especially when it comes to this first game. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the Saints game is going to go. Then again, with us, it shouldn't really matter. We usually win in the preseason, and it's fun to just see them play and dominate, especially with our defense. They dominate in the preseason. Our young guys come out here, those 2nd and 3rd stringers, they really dominate, and they show what they can bring to the table, which helps because when they get in the regular season, sometimes you see the plays that we're making in the preseason, they actually do it in the regular season, and it's nice to see. But we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if Lamar is going to play a lot in the preseason. I have no idea what their plan is. I'm just speculating. I feel that may be the case because that would definitely help. It would definitely help with him catching up, and it'll give them game footage to look at that they can just pick things apart and be like, yeah, this is what we need to be, Lamar. This is what you guys need to do. This is what we need to work on in practice. We got to ramp it up and speed it up. This should help you catch up. So that could definitely help benefit Lamar and benefit the Ravens as a whole. So just don't be surprised if you see Lamar and the starters out there for like a quarter or quarter and a half of this first preseason game. I would not be surprised to see that. In fact, I think that may be the case, but we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, man, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what the preseason holds for our guys. I'm excited to see what I'm going to get from the rookies. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Bateman. It may not be the case for this time around, but I think we're going to see a lot of Wallace. We're going to see a lot of Duvernay. We're going to see a lot of Prochet because these guys have been doing well so far. They've been very consistent throughout training camp, especially when it comes to Prochet. So they're going to probably throw Prochet out there for a lot of the preseason in order to determine where his role is going to be in the offense, as to how many reps they're going to give him and how many times they're going to utilize him in the offense. If you ask me, he needs to be a 3rd down receiver, no question. He has to be on the field on 3rd down, especially with 3rd and short, because this guy can catch anything you throw at him. So the preseason is going to be a good chance to see what these receivers can do as a whole, and we can start picking as to how the receiving room is going to look for this upcoming season. I'm also excited to see what Sean Wade can do, but I'm especially excited to see what Odafe Owe can do because, man, he's been killing it so far in training camp. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm also excited to see what Brandon Stevens can do, but especially Odafe Owe. What Owe is going to bring to the table, man. I'm excited. I can't wait for the preseason. It should be fun. It should be exciting. It's going to be, I wouldn't say competitive because usually we destroy our opponents, but it'll be something special. Who knows? Maybe this is the year where all of a sudden the Ravens don't come out prepared and we get crushed in the preseason, but it don't really matter. As long as I can see something from our rookies and I can see something from some dudes that are trying to get on the roster, our 2nd and our 3rd stringers, if I can see something from them that we can take away that will give them an opportunity to potentially make the roster, I'll take note of it. So I'm just excited to see what these young guys can do, and I can't wait for them to get out there and get some experience playing live football, especially with the rookies. For the 2nd and 3rd stringers, I can't wait to see what case you're going to make as to why you should be on this team. So it should be fun for everybody. With that being said, that is really all I got, man, and I'm excited for the preseason. I'm out of here. Peace.